Because usually at one point or another, we learned that it was unacceptable or unsafe or maybe unlovable. You felt unloved. Like these parts can hold unprocessed emotions. They could hold limiting beliefs. They could hold protective patterns, energetic blueprints just from the past. Like our shadow are things from the past that have been shoved under the rug. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey. This is your weekly sanctuary for waking up from autopilot and transforming the way you approach life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It is my mission to help you heal unprocessed emotions and release stuck energies by alchemizing your struggle cycles into opportunities for deep self-love, awareness, trust, and connection, to return to your innate essence of being, stepping back into your energy of alignment. Because here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light, embodying all parts that make you, you. So if you are ready to get to the root of cultivating real change, get cozy, grab your journal and maybe favorite crystals, and let's discover our power within together. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Naturally Empowered Living podcast. Join me in just like getting comfy, cozy in wherever you're listening to this right now. I'm like shifting around in my chair and I haven't done a formal introduction in a while. So welcome, guys. This is your host, speaker right here. Hi, my name's Jenna Smith. I am a root cause therapy practitioner, an energy healer, instinctive meditation mentor, and just a friend, trying to help wake people up in their lives, to wake up from autopilot, to think differently, to think for themselves and to be themselves and to come home to themselves, whatever that means for you. And I know there's always like a lot of gray area, and that's something that's always been tricky. And I've tried, like, let's say I've personally tried within my entrepreneur years of like niche, is that the word? Like, you know, talking to a more generalized like concept. What are you trying to help solve? And this and that. And I always came back to self-love and self-trust and self-connection. And just because I would steer away because I was like, I'm not talking to one specific person. I'm talking to everyone. Like I'm talking to the collective to wake up to themselves. And I guess that is still a person that is like ready for it, I suppose. But like I've come to that acceptance now. But it was a very like hard, like 5, it was hard years really honing in on like this concept of I just knew what I was meant to be doing, but I couldn't find my way for so long in the entrepreneur space. And now it's just so clear. And it's crazy connecting those dots because I always like, you feel that you have to just walk the straight line with social media or walk the algorithm or like stay in this box of, what the whatever expert is saying this or that. And oh yeah, of course, like that helps. But I feel like when we come from a wholeness space, from an authentic space, for myself too, I will never lose that integrity. But then also speaking to you to step into your authentic self. That's why I always invite you to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And to open your perspective and perception of what I am saying and do your own research and, sit with, if something really like stays with you, like sit with it. Be curious, like, why did that really hit home with me? And of course, like within root cause therapy, what I do is I help you kind of release the stagnation, release the stuck energy on, I guess like a woo-woo level. But then like from a scientific level, we're actually like healing trauma. We're releasing things from your past that you have held on to that are, causing maybe limiting beliefs or patterns that you are wanting to break and wondering like, why can't I freaking break this pattern? Or why do I keep seeing this recurring cycle within my life? Like there's science behind that too, that we hold things within our body. We can hold emotions and energy and patterns within our body. So to help you process that and release that, to be able to then kind of clear the gunk, if you will, to step back into alignment with yourself. That's why I call this like finding your energy of alignment. And of course, energy healing works in a very present sense sort of way, is, finding that balance and harmony in the now. And of course, instinctive meditation is a big piece of how I really bring in like that nervous system regulation piece. Instinctive meditation gets a bad rap probably because you hear meditation in it and you're like, oh gosh, I don't have time to sit and be still and, find my zen and all that. Even though like I love, like I've said this many, many times, like my stillness or my form of like what I chase after is stillness, because like I have 2 little ones, like we're always busy, we're always on the go. Yes, I do want like the quiet and the silence. However, it doesn't, like, you don't have to find a meditative state by being still and being quiet. It could be like doing the dishes and just like coming into yourself. Let it be like listening to music or through dance or through going on a walk, connecting with nature. It's really connecting to it's a very somatic feel, like allowing yourself to bring up whatever you're instinctively or innately what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's losing me right now. But trusting yourself that whatever is meant to be brought up will be brought up. It's not about silencing your mind. It's again like about regulating that nervous system, making that space. And you have to process. You can't keep shoving shit under the rug because it's just going to pile up and compound. And it kind of brings it all full circle with root cause therapy then. It's another way to like clear out that gunk. So welcome. Hi. So glad you're here. Last week on the show, we talked about choosing love over fear in all capacities, and how when you reach this place, like every interaction will be seen like from this place of compassion and grace and, zero judgment and just acceptance, right? But what about the shit and the shadows and the trauma and the heartache and the hurt that we possibly endure through our lives or see other people doing? Like, how can we lead from a place of love after all we've been through as ourselves? And so I want to kind of continue this conversation because I kid you not, like the amount of conversations that I have had this week, like just this past week, regarding last week's episode, One Choice to Change Your Life, Choosing Love Over Fear. It was mind-blowing, the parallels with what y'all are going through right now, as well as me, like as well as myself. I wasn't planning that episode, and it just like so happened it aired, and like all this stuff was like brought up, and it's like, oh wow, like that was perfect timing, and I wasn't even planning it to be. And like just me personally, like I don't need to bring up other conversations I've had, but I always will share transparently with myself. I've been going through like deep, like I've been in a deep emotional season, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but the one place and time that I could pinpoint, it's been like since the Virgo full moon. And I don't even remember when that was. It was a couple months ago. But I personally am a Virgo moon. And when like it was a full moon in Virgo, and I just remember like connected these dots, and I was actually talking with a girlfriend, and she goes, well, Jenna, like you're a Virgo moon. Like she's an astrology, like, yeah. Danny, right, we've had that witch next door. She's been on the show. I was talking to her, and she's like, well, Jenna, like it's a Virgo moon. Like, of course, that's why you feel like this cycle, because I also get my cycle on the full moon. She goes, of course, you feel like your life is being turned upside down right now because hello, and it just like connected all these dots. But anyway, it's like been the past couple months. I've felt like I've just been like thrown on the pavement and run over with just like the emotional turmoil, the upheaval, the emotional upheaval going on in my life. And sometimes it's like, fuck, like, for being aware and being awake, if you will. Because yeah, of course, like it brought up hurt. And, I've been like angry, so angry lately, and like in the feels. It brings up awareness. Like anger is good. Like anger is okay. Anger is typically like a protective emotion. We've talked about this. A protective emotion that's protecting like the root, right? Like protecting the emotion behind the emotion type thing. So like having the awareness, sometimes it's like, oh, okay. Like, because you have to do the work. Like if you're aware, you have to do the work. And I just had a lot of like turn the mirror back on myself type moments. So I share all this because when we ignore the shadow or ignore the awareness that you might have or ignore the pattern or the shit going on, have you ever noticed that it continues the cycle or it creates more resistance or more pain? Maybe not even the same area of your life, but like you find yourself in the same funk of a pattern over and over and over. Versus the latter of facing it or accepting it or allowing like, okay, what's going on here? Allowing that shadow to come up. It can bring clarity and connection and renewal. And of course, not immediately, golly jeep. Like if it was immediate, everyone would be doing it, okay? Like the Kool-Aid worth drinking takes some work to make it, okay? If that makes sense. So that's why a lot of people, like, one, I feel like as a collective, we are waking up. I do. However, a lot of people feel that they are failing because they don't have that instant gratification. It's not giving those results that we want in the now. And I'm not sharing like that there aren't going to be signs and like little moments of light, but like that's where the awareness comes in. That's where you have to be open to like see, right? The little fruits of the labor. So those little moments of light and peace, during this unfolding. And by golly, like ask God or spirit or the universe, whatever you believe in, like slap me in the face with a sign here. Like I'm struggling. Like give me answers, slap me in the face with a sign. Like if you're a client of mine or know me well, like I love me some like testing, at the energies of the universe. I love me some extra validation. And I'm always asking like, all right, I have a session tomorrow. Tell me something that I could bring up to them that will resonate so deeply that there's no way that it could be a coincidence. Oh, that's like my favorite. I love doing that. And it like just brings that extra layer of connection then with the client, new or continuing. And if like I'm going through a hard time, I'll be like, show me a gorilla tonight if I'm on this right path. Like I'm dead serious. Like I will, it just helps me so much. And yeah, it keeps me on my toes. Like, you practice what you preach. Like it keeps me on my toes because I'm always open. And it's strengthening my belief in the power and the energies of the universe. Like this higher power is so, so strong. And I don't want to go off on a tangent, but circling back to finishing that thought of when we ignore the shadow or ignore the pattern and it keeps coming back or showing more resistance, okay? Why? It's because our subconscious minds keep going to be bringing things up until you finally learn your lesson or until you finally process the emotion. So it's gonna, like, you're gonna, how do I want to say this? You're gonna be put in the same situations over and over and over again until you learn the lesson or, more specifically, like possibly healing that emotion or processing that emotion. That's life, okay? And however you want to put your vocabulary, your terminology, if you don't want to use subconscious mind, put in your terminology here, but you are going to be put in the same situations until the lesson is learned, the lesson is taught, or something is healed. To be able to connect back to your energy of alignment, to get back on your path. And something with this too is to learn that lesson. One lesson could be, this is where I'm going with this. I had to gather myself for a minute. The lesson could be here is to show you that all parts of you deserve your love, even the shadows. So what the shadow is, okay? If you aren't, familiar with shadow work, or maybe this will be a different representation or a description of what shadow work is. Your shadow, the shadow of yourself, represents parts of you that you've possibly rejected or disowned or buried down so deep. Because usually at one point or another, we learned that it was unacceptable or unsafe or maybe unlovable. You felt unloved. Like these parts can hold unprocessed emotions. They could hold limiting beliefs. They could hold protective patterns, energetic blueprints just from the past. Like our shadow are things from the past that have been shoved under the rug. As simple as I could describe that. And it's a lot easier to continue to shove it under the rug, to resist it, by avoiding that uncomfortable feeling or avoiding that uncomfortable possible situation that happened or the uncomfortable something that you might be shameful for or guilty of, like denying parts of yourself. That could be anger, sadness, jealousy, insecurity, maybe the sinner, it could be anything because we are conditioned to believe that, quote unquote, they are bad, they are dangerous, they are unacceptable, they are unlovable. So we want to not, can't do this, shove it under the rug, this is not us, this is not us, this is not us. But the problem here, it's a part of us, number one, and number two, shoving it under the rug, it's still with you, okay? So this resistance can often show up as, you're trying to stay overly busy or staying distracted or avoiding the stillness or the inner reflection of silence to, connect with yourself. Maybe you use perfectionism or people pleasing as protection or detaching from your body or numbing out through vices, through food, social media, substances, whatever that might be, some sort of coping mechanism. And a coping mechanism, it's a survival adaptation. Again, like you are trying to protect yourself. However, it's like this slippery slope because it's also keeping you stuck. Addiction, you're numbing and distracting yourself from reality. Overthinking, you're avoiding feeling. Trying to control everything, you're avoiding chaos. You're avoiding like the what is. Withdrawing to stay safe from that exposure. Overachieving to try to feel worthy. Or caretaking to feel needed and avoid an abandonment. Like each of these can possibly mask an unmet need or an unhealed wound held in a shadow piece of you. So now to reframe this, your shadows are not your enemy. It's a wounded part of you asking for love. So circling back to this concept I just said a couple minutes ago of your shadow, did I even say this? I thought of it. I don't remember if I said it or not, but your shadow is actually calling you home to who you are. And that's all of you. All of who you are. Let's open the closet, pull up, everything out from under the rug. Your shadow is not here to sabotage you. It's here to be seen and heard and integrated and possibly processed if there are like those unprocessed emotions. But your power or your shadow is not here to sabotage you. It holds power and truth and creativity and your intuition within that shadow. That connection to you, to your self-love that's possibly been blocked by shame or fear or guilt. And when we approach our shadows with compassion instead of judgment, I'm not here like telling you to like continue sinning, continue doing the thing. No, I'm talking just about holding a safe container, and we're going to get to this in a minute, but holding a safe container for you to have a judgment-free space for you to accept or even approach. Okay, I won't even use accept. For you to say, hey, this is a piece of me. Let's listen to it. Okay? Let's sit with you for a little bit. We're safe. We're safe. We're safe. We're safe. This is the judgment-free zone. And just welcome it in. Okay? Because once you approach that shadow with compassion instead of judgment, you can reclaim your wholeness. There's a gap there. There's obviously a little work to be done, but we can reclaim wholeness. We could heal from the root. We can free ourselves from cycles of self-sabotage and burnout. We could love all parts of ourselves, which brings us back into our energy of alignment, and opens these abundant doors of opportunity and growth and clarity and confidence and peace and presence and joy and love. So the shadow becomes a portal to our power, not something to continue to shove under the rug and fix and deny, but something to love back into alignment. So here's now some like tangible things that you can do to, if welcome or accept is like too big of a word right now. I understand that could be like a very touchy topic, depending like what you have gone through, what you're going through, like what like comes up to you right now when you think of your shadow. But just tools to approach your shadow, okay? And number one is like huge, like step one, it's number one for a reason, is just checking in with your emotional body every day. Like tuning into how you are really feeling, having that emotional awareness. You could literally ask yourself, speak it out or think it in your mind. What am I really feeling right now? Like feelings aren't right or wrong. They're not positive or negative. They're messengers guiding you back to your truth. Anything you're feeling is valid. It's like the behaviors and the things that we do after it. Like that's what, quote unquote, you could put a right or wrong on. You can't be like, violence obviously isn't the answer, right? So it's like the emotions you're feeling are valid, always. And they're messengers guiding you back to your truth. So I help my clients and I help people like build that emotional intelligence so they could connect back to themselves. They could build that emotional awareness to be able to notice, number one, what they're feeling, name it, number two, and be with it, to sit with it instead of bypassing it. However, when like facing your shadow, you don't need to figure it all out in your mind. Like you don't need to like sit here and just like make yourself go stir crazy. Step one is just bringing awareness. Just bring awareness. Like, hey, okay, step one, how am I feeling right now? And like let the floodgates open, okay? Something else you can do, like maybe once you've reached that awareness stage, is I love this. I just did this yesterday, actually. Rage journaling. I threw rage in there just because it's like I was just so angry yesterday. And I'm just like, I was just scribbling down. And I couldn't get it down fast enough, like what was trying to flow out of me. But like it wasn't enough to just keep it cycling through my mind. I had to get it out onto paper. So this is a sacred, safe practice of giving your shadow, quote unquote, like it was a very angry piece of me and a piece of my past that I was really just processing, and giving your shadow that voice on paper instead of suppressing that anger, that frustration, possibly that grief or that guilt, whatever it is, like whatever that you maybe have thought was considered too much or unsafe or unwelcome or unaccepted in the past. Just let it move through you in writing. Uncensored, unapologetic, like you're not doing anything wrong. You're getting it out onto paper. Burn it afterwards if you want to. Like maybe I'm not the right person to talk about that, because I'm big on like grounding your energy, cleansing your energy, protecting your energy. Yes. But I don't have a lot of rules around it. Like if your intentions are in a good place. But burn it. Like safe space, say a little prayer, burn it after you write it if you don't feel comfortable having it, wherever it is. But I love my diary. Like I call it a diary because it like helps me connect with my inner child. But I love my journal. I love my journal. And I reread things sometimes and I was like, whew. But that's just it. Like it's uncensored. It's in the moment. Hey, I'm not going to go scream at someone, or like do something completely reactive. Let me write it down on paper. And then you feel so much better, because this is why it works. It allows your repressed emotions to surface safely. It releases an energetic charge that is physically held within your body. It could possibly help uncover even deeper beliefs underneath that rage. Again, the emotion behind the emotion. And it prevents emotional buildup that leads to potential burnout or explosive, like I just said, explosive reactive outbursts in the future about like, nothing correlated to like what the outburst is even about, right? There's always that underlying root. Something else you could do is like intuitive movement, like dance. The body holds everything the mind avoids. Oh, that's so powerful. The body holds everything the mind avoids. So movement, what did I just say? Like that energetic charge that's held in your body, that movement, especially just done intuitively, innately, without choreography or rules, just let your body flow. It just moves the stuck, stagnant energy and restores your natural flow. More of why this works, it bypasses your mind, because I love, like when I do dishes, I'm always like in that just meditative, just like letting anything just crazy, like not crazy thoughts, but like just the cyclone of thoughts, come up. And I always say dishes because that's normally when my husband has the kids. And I do get maybe, 10, 20 minutes to myself. So sadly, it's doing dishes, but I take advantage. So intuitive movement helps, bypass the mind, because sometimes you get caught in your mind, that monkey mind. You're just letting things cyclone through and through and through, and it's not going anywhere. So this movement then moves that energy and lets the body speak. By releasing that energy. It activates the nervous system's ability to, again, discharge that energy, discharge that stress. It helps move the emotions. Again, like I'm just saying different ways of the same thing. Like it moves emotions out of your system. It grounds you in the present moment by reconnecting you to your body. And also talking out loud. So what number is this for? Talking out loud. If, again, you're in a safe container, this is something I'm working on with the kids. I'm like, you can be feeling a lot of crazy thoughts, but it's not always safe to speak them in the moment. Very hard concept to teach little kids, because it's like you want to teach them honesty. You want to teach them how communication and, expressing themselves. But then it's like, caveat here. There's still like safe space to, so that's a whole, different thing. Obviously, talking about parenting my kids. But like if you are in a safe container, talking out loud, like it's just like the journaling. It helps get it out, out of your mind, right? Speaking your thoughts, your emotions, your shadow, your beliefs out loud. It just kind of breaks that spell of the cyclone, the monkey mind. Okay. So it activates your throat chakra too. It activates that throat chakra because you're physically speaking out. It helps you hear yourself too. Like as you're talking and hearing yourself, you're like, oh, not trying to like talk you out of anything, but you might it might bring up more, maybe validation or a process of solution or possibly self-awareness or self-trust. Hearing yourself, you're able to process and move forward in a completely different manner. And it helps shift emotions from internal chaos, again in your mind, to the external expression. And it can lead to breakthroughs that you didn't realize that you were hiding. Like you just let yourself go, right? So you could speak to yourself in the mirror or have a conversation with a wounded part of you. Like if that anger, like if you are feeling like rage or anger, just connect with where you're feeling it in your body. That connection, you're connecting with that emotion. Just be like, hey, I see you. I know you're hurting. Like I'm listening. What's up? Boom. Open dialogue. Okay? So these are just a couple directions that you can go to just approach your shadow, quote unquote. And this might not be a typical like shadow work explanation, but I feel it was just a very intuitively led conversation that after the conversations that I had over the last week, I just felt so inclined to speak more on this. So in closing out this episode, here's a few things that you can do. Of course, one of those above practices, really just giving yourself this space to find and learn your emotional awareness. You could rage journal, intuitive movement, speaking out loud, always in a safe space, right? You know yourself best. You can also schedule a free clarity call with me to go deeper within your life's work. Or always, it's in the description of this show, but I'll also link it in the show notes. You can submit what you want to hear on this show. We can go deeper into a topic that we've already discussed, or it could be something that you're currently working through. Head to the link in the show notes. I'll have the clarity call link and the submission form to share what you want to hear on the show. And I'll be waiting to hear from you. And regardless, as always, I'm sending you so much love. Every part of you. You don't have to fear the darkness because you are the light that illuminates it. Until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. I'm sending my love and so much light.
Did you find this episode free or empowering? Please read my review. Tickle, boop.
Thank you for spending the sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. If this episode brought you closer to stepping into your energy of alignment, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share how this show has supported your journey. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps others find the space of transformation. And sharing it with someone who might need it spreads the ripple of healing even further. Be sure to check the show notes for ways to connect with me and explore personalized healing sessions and mentorships to deepen your self-awakening journey. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.